I'm Wayne Sheaffer. Been around for a while. Been doing real estate full-time now for 19 years. Dabbled for 2 years prior to that. I'm a product of those infomercials. Way back in 1995, I bought a Carlton Sheets real estate course. You too, Jess, huh? How many of you bought a Carlton Sheets? You can buy houses with no money and no credit and no brains. I said, hey, I think I might be successful with this one. And 2 years later, I was bankrupt. So my first lesson in real estate was just because you can buy with no money and no credit doesn't mean that you should buy. But we're going to talk tonight. The market's been doing some interesting things. I just need to get a little bit of a gauge of who's here. How many of you flip property? You're actively flipping properties right now. Okay. How many of you have a few that are sitting and not selling? Anybody? All right, so we're going to jump into this. That's the springboard for tonight's conversation. We're gonna have some fun. I like talking real estate. I might bore you to death, but I like talking real estate. Anybody like talking real estate? Okay, all right. I think I'm in the right crowd here. All right, so quickly, I'm going to be speaking about the adjusting to the new buyer's market. Oh, that was pretty neat. Bob, where's Bob? Bob, you did, that was pretty neat, Bob. How you did that little graphic thing or the little curtain. All right, so I like to say that I have three families, just in way of introduction. I have my biological family, my wife. I've been married for 32 years, and we have two beautiful daughters, a 26-year-old and 23-year-old, and that's my biological family. I have a work family, and there's about 7 of us, 8 of us. And then I have a church family. So those are my families that are important to me and matter to me, and I like to hang around with. And so I have 3 companies. I have HouseMart, which is my flipping company. I have another company. It's called Easy Property Solutions, where I do joint ventures with other people. And then I have a rental portfolio. We had 100 rentals. I think we're down to 18 now. I've been liquidating while the market was real strong, but it's about time to switch, and we're going to start building back up again. And our slogan is doing a good work to support God's work. All my businesses, we want to do something good in order to earn money to give to God's work. I have a beautiful office in downtown Highland at 2929 Jewett Avenue. And we used to have the Hummers. I don't have the Hummers anymore, but anybody remember seeing the Hummers, the We Buy Houses Hummers? Those were mine. And we drove them around for a little while and thought we'd get some business off of it, and ended up we didn't get any business off of it. But they were fun, but they also kind of sucked the gas, right? So they didn't really justify themselves. But it was about the same cost as a billboard, and I'm like, hey, I can drive my billboard. So it was fun. We drove in some parades and such and had a lot of fun with them. Okay, just a little background in my real estate, and I'll just zip through this. As I've been experienced with a lot of different things. I started out sort of as a slumlord. I bought a lot of houses, and this guy owner financed them for me. And then I found out a few months later why he owner financed them is because the city of Hammond was coming after him hot and heavy, and he was more than happy to sign those deeds over to me, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome, thank you, with a very small money down. And then I started getting the citations in the mail, and then I was like, oh, he forgot to tell me about that. I'm sure he didn't mean to do that. So I remember meeting with the Hammond code enforcement guy, and he's like, man, you gotta fix this, you gotta fix this, you gotta fix this, and on all these houses. And I was like, well, let me just do one house at a time. I'll fix it up and do it kind of systematically. And he's like, no, you gotta do them all like right now. And he called me a slumlord, and I'm like, dude, I just bought these 2 months ago, What about the guy who owned them for 35 years before me and put, 4 layers of carpet on top of each other? That wasn't me, that was him. I'm the good guy, I'm gonna fix it all up. But he didn't let me, he wanted them all fixed up and I didn't have the money to do it and I had to unload them. I've also done the burr method quite a bit over my career. I've done a lot of wholesale, about 1,300 wholesale deals. The rentals, I have a pathway to ownership program that I like where I use lease options and try to work with ownership-minded people instead of renter-minded people. To me, that is a game changer right there. I don't ever want renter-minded people again. You people who want apartments, that's your thing. You go for it if that's what you want to do. But I like lease options with ownership-minded people. It's a total different game. I've done turnkeys, sold a lot of houses off to cash flow buyers. I've done retail flipping. The last 4 or 5 years, that's pretty much all I've been doing is retail flipping. And been doing 21 years total, 19 years full-time, and I've done over 1,800 real estate deals. Okay. All right, so here's where we're at currently. We have 94 deals in our pipeline. We've sold 60 houses year to date this year. We're on target to sell about 75 to 80. We're on target to make about $700,000 in profit. It's after paying everybody and the building and everything. This is an interesting statistic. I just went back and looked. We sold 29 houses. We got them under contract to sell 29 houses since September 1st. And that's going to be an important number we're going to come back to. 29 houses under contract since September 1st, in about 2.5 months. Okay, all right. So here's my pain point. January through May, for 5 months this year, I was doing great. I was on cloud 9. We sold 35 houses. We had sold almost we sold 7 houses a month. We made almost $500,000 in profit in 5 months. It's like $100,000 a month in profit. I'm like, hey, I love the retail market. Until June through August came. And then we sold 8 houses, not per month. I mean 8 houses in 3 months. That's 2.7 houses per month. And we lost almost $200,000. You see, I have an office. You saw my work family. And although I really like them and we work well together, they don't come to work for free. And it cost me, with my salary and with their salary and with the building, it cost me $65,000 a month to stay in existence. So we lost $200,000 in 3 months. Boy, I remember thinking, oh man, this is bad. What's going on? So I'm going to tell you what I did, and but then once I did what I did, September through October, the last 2 months, we sold we're back to selling 7 houses a month, profit $140,000, and in November we're on target to sell 10 houses. Anticipated profit for 1 month is $130,000. We're back on track. So you get the progression. We were doing wonderful. This is the way I call real. Anybody ever been to Disney World and went in Space Mountain? Right, it's that roller coaster ride in the dark. To me, that's real estate. You know, when we sell a house, we have a text thread that hey, we sold this house today, and I always text the word yippee, because it's, to me, real estate is like a roller coaster ride. You know, you just hold on. It's like that roller coaster ride in the dark. You just hold on and you're ready for anything. It might go up, you might go down, you might go right, you might go left. You don't have no idea what's going to happen. So you just got to be prepared for anything. And so it was good and it was bad. And then we had to fix some things, and now we're kind of back on track. Okay? And I want to tell you those things that we had to fix, because if we hadn't fixed them, I would not be in business right now. Okay? And in December, we already have 4 houses that are under contract that are scheduled to close in the month of December. Okay, I don't know how you respond to problems, but this is what I did. I'm just telling you what I did, okay? First thing that I did is I prayed. And The second thing is I fasted. Obviously, not very long, but I fasted. What are you laughing at, Rob? Me and Rob go back a long way. We knew each other when we were skinny. All right. I prayed, I fasted, and I sought counsel. I started calling everybody I knew, real estate agents, mortgage brokers. I'm in a mastermind, nationwide mastermind called the Collective Genius. Man, I put a post on our private Facebook thread, and I said, man, anybody else having trouble selling houses right now? And boy, it struck up a really good conversation, got some really good feedback from my friends across the nation. And a lot of the stuff I learned from that is what I'm going to share with you today. Okay, I'm not saying that I figured all this stuff out myself, man. I went searching for some wisdom, asking God for some wisdom, and I found some really cool things that I'm going to share with you. And then I asked other people to pray as well. So here's kind of the first thing that has to happen is that there has to be a mindset change, a mindset shift, right? So the first thing I had to realize is that the market is not bad or really bad. I literally had someone come up to me yesterday and said, man, well, I heard the market's really bad. I'm like, well, we sold 29 houses in the last 2.5 months. That's not bad. So the market is not bad or really bad right now. Welcome to the new buyer's market. This is one of the comments I got back from one of my buddies at the Collective Genius. He's like, welcome to the new buyer's market. And that I need to adjust. So if I don't make these adjustments, things are going to continue to be bad. If I make these adjustments, I can survive in this buyer's market, okay? Now, this was a statement that I heard that was like, wow, this is powerful. Dispositions is now an active, not passive activity. It used to be where it was really hard to get houses, but once you got a good deal and you got it fixed up, you put it on the market, man, people just fight over it, you know, and it was, and they pay you over, you're asking, you know, I remember the days where you could list it 10,000 higher what you thought you were going to sell for, and it would go 10,000 higher than that. Those were the good old days, like 6 months ago. Those are the good old days. I realize that now dispositions needs a lot of attention. It's not something passive that you could just give to your realtor now and everything's going to be fine. Okay? It has to be, you have to get very involved, and there has to be a lot more action going into dispositions than there used to be. Okay? Now, we must provide the best value for the price. When value exceeds price, the sale is made. Did you hear that? When I first heard that statement, it was like, wow. And I'm going to show you a graphic here. So, how many of you have had a house where somebody's going in it and they said, price is too high? Price, yeah, Mike? Yeah. Price is too high. Well, let me tell you what they're really saying. What they're saying is, I've seen the price, I've walked through the house, and I see the value, and all the things that need buttoning up that I got to do, and I think the price is too high. What they're saying is, the price is too high for the value that I see. You understand? They're not saying the price is too high. They're saying, I'm not seeing the value. This is what they're actually saying. They say the word, the price is too high, but they're saying that the price is higher than the value that I'm seeing here. You get it? Get it what they're really saying? So, if you do this, then the buyer says, I want it. Now, value is greater than price. And the buyer says, I want it. So you can compete on two different levels. You can say, okay, I'm going to drop my price. Like, I have my, so here's my situation. So the buyer says the price is too high, so I can drop my price to where the value is, or I can build my value to where I want the price to be. Does that make sense? I got two options. And I'm tired of everybody bringing the prices down on their house because it hurts me. When I go to sell my house and now I got your appraisal sitting out there because you just kept dropping your price instead of adding value. So I'm just saying, we have two options. You can drop price, that is effective. You can drop the price and eventually the price will drop to where people say, okay, I see the value now. But I'm saying that there is another option, okay? There's another way to build value, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. When value exceeds price, the sale is made. Just remember that in any kind of sales, anytime someone says it's too expensive, they're not saying it's too expensive. You've done a lousy job of building value. Okay? We had Dave Crutchfield, he worked for automotive sales, and he came in and taught us, he trained us on sales. He's like, you guys, you're order takers, you're not salespeople. I'm like, what? What do you mean? He said, well, every time someone comes and says, yeah, because we were wholesaling a lot of houses, and all of our houses are junk. I mean, they all need work. Well, so they all come and say, well, the house needs work. You want $39,000, I'll give you a 35. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. And we used to just say, okay, let's do it. But I learned that you need a counterpunch with value. Dude, this is a $140,000 house and it needs 30 in repairs. How is that a bad deal at $39,900? So you tell me how this is a bad deal at $39,900 and I'll drop down to $35. Otherwise, the price is $39,900. And he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right, it's a good deal. But you gotta come back, you always gotta counter with value. Don't just dip your price all the time. You gotta counterpunch with value. Okay, all right, so here's my 7-step strategy. Now some people like, oh, you're doing this right now. And I'm like, that's one of the steps. But there is a 7-step combination that I'm doing right now that I'm finding is very effective, okay? For step number 1, and I learned from Kyle, that I shouldn't say kill, I should say expire. Thank you, Kyle. Not withdraw and not cancel, but I'm supposed to expire the current listing, okay? So I had a bunch of houses just like some of you that they weren't selling. So step 1, expire the current listing. And one thing you can do if you're working with a friendly agent is that you can sign a short-term 15 to 30-day listing, and once the listing expires, well, guess what? Then you can go in and do step number 2. You can button up, send in your finished team, and button up all the loose ends in the house. So that's step 2. Make sure all the good old days, you could take a house 98, 99% of the way and kind of just leave it there and people would fight over it. Now, everyone's like, oh, that's too much work. Wait a minute. You got to put some caulk around the basement or whatever, around the molding or whatever. That's too much work, for real? But yeah, it's too much work. So, I've been doing this too. I've been getting a professional home inspector, and so to help us figure out what to button up on some of our houses. So send in a finished team to button up all of the loose ends in the house, get a professional home inspection, and sometimes when people, they get their home inspection, and it's amazing to me, sometimes they'll get a home inspection, and they'll say, hey, we found this and this and this wrong, we don't want the house. I'm like, well, hold on a minute, I'll fix this and this and this. They're like, no, we don't want the house. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I just told you I'll fix everything that you don't like about the house. Yeah, well, we don't want it now. Where's that mold? Where's our mold guy at? Where'd our mold guy go? There he is. He is good. He's an honest guy. And he won't. There are mold guys out there that will scare you with that word, and make you pay a lot of money because that's a big scary word. And this guy's an honest guy, and he won't treat, he's not going to exploit you because because the word mold shows up. He'll treat it, and if it doesn't need treating, he won't treat it. So, all right, next. So in step number 3, in our 7-step process, Better landscaping around the house, around the entire house. You know how we all just do it in the front? Because that's all they see when they pull up. We're going all done. When we take it off the market and button up the loose ends inside the house, we're going to button up around the outside too. Okay, and add a few extra touches in the backyard. Usually, like I said, we're not really used to doing things that people don't see when they first get out of their car, but it makes a difference. Okay, step number 4, upgrade the front door. Make sure it matches your sale price. All right, so I have a confession. I put a house. Kyle, this house look familiar? This is 7839 Van Buren in Munster. I'm trying to sell it for I think we started at $399. I think we're down to $395 or something now. Does this look like a $395,000 door?
No.
Like this is the type of door that should go on a $395,000 house?
No.
Does this look like it should go on a $395,000 house? Can't see it. It's nice. A little bit hard to see from back there, but it's nice. Yeah, where's my picture guy? We are actually going to talk about that in a minute. So here's some examples. This is just one particular house that we just, that's the first thing. When they pull up, they're going to be standing at that door, fiddling around with that lockbox. And you want to see this? You want to see this, So, or what do you want them to see? Okay. Step number 5. Now, if that was a $180,000 house, I think that door would be just fine. But the problem is I want $395 for that house. Okay, step number 5 is professional cleaning and staging of the primary areas. And and Jen is my stager, and she's really helped me out a lot to sell some of my houses. And I like what she says, that people decide in the first 8 seconds if they want to live in the house. What's that? Very true. Well, I learned that from her. So it's important that the first 8 seconds is a very impactful, instead of them walking in and there's really, nothing really exciting, then they start seeing all the things that aren't exactly perfect. So give them something nice to look at. So we do, and it's staging of the primary areas. I don't think we've staged a primary bedroom yet, our master bedroom. We have not staged one of those yet. Because I don't think they can get there in 8 seconds. I tried it, and I can't get there in 8 seconds. So you really only need to stage the living room, dining room, kitchen. And then if it has a family room on the main floor, sometimes we'll do the family room. Okay? But this is one of Jen's jobs. And that's a great job. Oh, that's her right there. She did that. So, all right. Step number 6. Oh, you know what? I missed something. Go back one more time. All right, look here. I forgot these words here. This is very important. It's a world of difference working with people who love the house versus people who like the house. People who kind of like the house, they may stay in the deal and they may find some excuse to get out of the deal, but if they love the house, they're going to ride through a lot of bumps along the road, the closing process. So I really want them to not just like the house, and not even just like the house a whole lot. I want them to love the house. And this staging is really helps out a lot. Okay. All right, so this is step number 6. Pictures and Matterport. Yeah, Daniel wants me to do a whole presentation on Matterport, and I like, Daniel, we have to keep it to a small section here. But Daniel loves his Matterport. We found one on eBay or something. They're $3,500, so they're usually a little bit more than that. They're usually $5,000. We found one almost brand new. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you asked that. I got another slide. I was going to show you that in just a minute. Because I kind of figured, how many of you don't know what a Matterport is, but you're about to find out? Okay. So I'm going to show you what a Matterport is. So, as far as pictures, you need a minimum of 40 high-quality pictures per house. Minimum. People like interaction time. They want to, and so we want to give them something to look at. Okay. Now, these are the industry statistics for Matterport. 89% of buyers across demographics increasingly look to the web and mobile tools to narrow down their list of properties to consider. We just pulled this right off of the internet, right? I mean, these are just Matterport.com. Real estate listings with more visual content, like video, receive 403% more inquiries. In this game, I just have to be better than the next guy. How many of the flippers are in here? How many flippers? See, I don't have to be the best. I just have to be better than you, right? It's like the two guys that were running around the bear, right? And the guy's like, looks over and says, like, we're never going to outrun this bear. He's like, I don't care about outrun the bear. I just got to outrun you. You can only get one of us, right? So we just gotta beat the competition. This is one thing that we're doing to kind of stand out. 41% of home buyers found interactive maps very useful, while 40% felt the same way about virtual tours. And then 92% of buyers searched the internet before contacting an agent. So now, what is Matterport? We're going to show you what Matterport is. And we did learn that if you put the Matterport in the MLS, that you have to go in and manually put it in the other places as well. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Can you turn it up? So it's not really a video, but you can literally like walk through the house. You can look up, you can look down, you can look in every crevice. It's an interactive tool. Okay. Does everybody understand now what Matterport is, or got a general idea? Yes, sir.
So is it something that you walk through the house and it records?
Yeah, don't get him started. We'll be here till midnight. I told you put a picture in here with you like doing your thing. But it's like a tripod thing, and you put it, and then, I don't know. Okay, there you go. It spins around while you leave the room, right? And it just, like it does the ceiling, it does everything.
It's like the Google car.
It's a 360. Yeah. Okay. Matterport's, it's a pretty cool tool to keep people engaged on the internet and create interest. All right, so new listing. So remember, okay, so the process is, kill the listing, expire the listing, right? And then you go in, you button up the loose ends inside the house, then you go and kind of button up some of the loose ends outside the house with the door. What I've been doing too lately is driveways, because we haven't had to mess with driveways before, but we're doing driveways. If the driveway needs to be done, we're doing the driveway. We're staging it, professionally cleaning it, and then going and getting some real good pictures. Daniel's got a good camera. He goes out and does our pictures. He does the Matterport. Send it over to Kyle, our agent, and then we list it as a new listing with an open house, in conjunction with an open house. So I've had people say, "Oh, so I hear you're staging houses now." Okay, yeah, I am, but it's this 7-step process all working together that helps, because you get your best buyers. The first ones through the house are usually your best buyers. So we want to get them and make sure that your house is 100% done before putting it out there. Okay. All right. Keep an eye on my time here. All right, so this is a house that we had at, and we did 3 property tours. So how many of you were a property tour at 8219 Calumet? Okay, we've had quite a few people at this house. This is the before, this is the after. We put it on the market, unstaged, couple loose ends, for $459,900. We got, the best offer we got was $390. I wanted $460. They offered $390. We did that 7-step process on this house. Within 3 days, we had the $459,900, $460.
Nice.
So we built value. Now we could have kept coming down and we would have lost money at the 390, but don't dip your price, just bring value. Just there's another way. You don't have to just keep dipping your price. Okay, all right, so this is our goal. I think one of the reasons that Disney is very successful is they create an experience. It isn't just you go and ride rides, it's an experience. So what we really want to do is to create a wonderful buyer experience in the house, okay? This is our objective. We want to know, what are they seeing? We have to walk through our house pretty regularly to see what they're seeing, because sometimes things, tree branches fall down. And sometimes someone throws a rock through the window, or the lawn mowing guy shoots a rock up on the front door or something. You got to keep an eye on these houses because things happen. So you gotta make sure you want your buyer to have a wonderful experience. When you go through the house, what are they seeing? What are they smelling? And what are they feeling? We need to be asking ourselves. Bob, he walks through a lot of these houses, and this is what we've trained him. Hey, what do you see? What do you smell? Sometimes there's like a foul odor, especially in some of these houses with hard water. Okay, we like to put those blue things in the tanks. It's better than people walking through and seeing brown water in the toilet. It looks like somebody did some business in there, right? And we don't want that. So we would rather see blue. Maybe the Smurfs attacked the house or something. I don't know. But anyhow, we like the blue stuff because it gets the odor. That well water kind of smells. If people aren't living in the house and flushing the water and keeping the water flowing, it smells. So the mindset is that buyers are lazy and they don't want to do any work. So we're walking through the house saying, I'm a lazy buyer. I don't want to do any work to this house. What's going to bother me about this house? Okay? All right, so you want to work with an agent that will do weekly open houses on your property. You want to work with an agent that will proactively market our houses, that they're on top of it, that they're not lazy, that you can't. Remember, you have to be active now. All right, so we want an agent that's going to proactively market our houses and not just put it on MLS and they did their job. We want to go beyond that. Work with an agent that proactively solicits feedback from the other agents that show the house. See, some of them go in there and they'll sometimes give you feedback back. They'll send you feedback, which is helpful, but sometimes they don't. What I like about the Kyle and the guys that I'm working with, they'll solicit. They'll say, hey, what'd you buyers think of the house? They'll solicit that actively. You got to go beyond what you used to have to do, okay? It's got to be more of an active than a passive thing. And it's helpful to have agents that realize, hey, I'm going to have to do a little bit more than I used to have to do to get this thing moved. Work with agents that will let us help market the home. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So I'm going to skip over that for right now. This one's super, super important. We want to work with agents that keep tabs on the local market diligently. The actives, the pendings, the solds. Around the area where my house is, I need my agent to study that area weekly. And Boom, one went pending. All right, hold on a minute. Why did that house go pending and not mine? And I want to know. They got to be able to explain to me what houses went pending and why didn't mine? You know, and then we got to study that. You can't, like I said, you can't just, you know, put it on the MLS and let the MLS do the heavy lifting for you anymore. You got to get involved in it. So you need an agent that'll keep an eye on things in your area, and that they'll help vet the buyers and their lenders. So you really want an agent that you know, when an offer comes in, you better hope that there's a solid lender and a solid buyer on the other end. And I think Kyle and I just talked about this week that underwriters are getting tougher. Things are a bigger deal than they used to not be a big deal. So it is helpful if you vet the buyers and their lenders. Okay. All right. So here's some additional things that we're doing additional value add selling techniques. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of this in a minute. But we're putting some coming soon signs out. In addition to our normal realtor signs in front of our houses, we're putting owner financing sign available. And you know what, I'm gonna go forward, and then, so this is where we're putting these on our remodel, on our houses that are getting close to getting done. They're not done yet. We're not ready to show them yet. They're still being worked on by our contractors, but they're getting close. They're within a couple weeks of getting done. Now, I went and bought a whole box of these signs a couple years ago, and I said, hey, you gotta close your ears, Kyle. These realtors, they don't do nothing. They make all this money, and I'm gonna sell it myself, right? So I'm gonna stick these up, and I'm gonna sell my houses before we even have to list this to save a real estate commission. Well, back in the 4 or 5 years ago, when things were going really, really good, we were shooting ourselves in the foot, because if we could, I would sell this house for $145,000. But, I would end up, okay, if I can just get it on the market, it might get bid up to 160. And I shoot myself in the foot by trying to save a commission, a couple $1,000 commission. I wasn't pricing it right, or I wasn't leveraging the buyer, the energy that the buyers had and the competition that the buyers had. So we were putting these signs out. We're back to doing this now. We're putting these signs out. Not really to avoid a commission, because we would like to find a qualified buyer, so that as soon as we're done with the project, we can sell the house. Okay. So we are putting the coming soon signs, and then when the houses that are completed, we have a realtor sign, and then we have an owner financing available sign. So what are we doing with the owner financing available sign? Okay, we're trying to attract people who don't think that they can qualify for a bank loan, because we got some really good mortgage brokers. Where's Jerry? There's Jerry. We got some good mortgage brokers that can get hard cases done. Okay, there's just other mortgage brokers can't get them done. Jerry can get them done sometimes. So we're kind of hoping that, and then sometimes there's just little things holding them back. Like maybe they can't afford the payment, but if I brought their interest rate down, or if I did something creative, now they can afford the payment. So we're putting the owner finance, and we are doing some lease options too. So so what we do is when someone calls in off one of these signs, the first thing we tell them is, let me tell you what we're not doing. This is not a long-term 30-year owner financing. This is a short-term 3-year max owner financing. So we tell them that right up front. Then we say, but in order to know which set of houses would work for you, we have to have you go to our mortgage broker and get pre-qualified. Okay? And then when they go get a mortgage broker and get pre-qualified, then we know, number one, hey, they're ready right now. They just didn't know it. Or number two, you know what? They're going to be ready in about 2 to 4 months. They just have a little blemish that needs to get fixed. So maybe I can put them in the house and then they can get a loan and get me out of it in 2 to 4 months, which I'm willing to do. Or sometimes it's going to take them 3 years to fix whatever the problem is, and we're willing to put them in for 3 years too. So, but so anyhow, so we have these signs out there to try to just help. Number one, get our lease options of houses filled, as well as maybe we luck up and we find someone who's qualified today and don't know about it. Okay? So we're putting additional signage on our houses. There we go. This is important too. We want to get the word out to our agents that we're and to our mortgage brokers that we're the guys, we're the sellers that are willing to help assist the buyers in any way. We're like the easiest people to work with. What are your buyers? Jerry, of the number of people that come to you with mortgage applications, how many of them do you have to turn away?
There's probably a good 80% of the people that go.
About 80%. He has to send away 80% of the people today. But I want those people. I want those people because I want to try to help them. Maybe I can do something creative to get them qualified today. Maybe I can do a seller concession, or I can do something that would help them. And then there's some times where they might need 2 or 4 months, but I'll let them move in the house and get me out in 2 or 4 months on certain houses. Not my best ones, but the ones that are sitting. Okay. And then also, I might put them in my 3-year option as well, 3-year houses. Okay. So, all right. Now, here's the other thing. Buy their interest rate down for the buyers. Buy the interest rate down for buyers. Let me show you the power of this. So Jerry sent this to me, and I want to show you this because this is super, super powerful. Because we're talking about how to add value, okay, and keep your price up, right? Well, check this out. You're going to love this. This is really cool. You got to watch this. If you were sleeping, wake up. All right? So here's an example of a $280,000 house. Okay? And so if they were to buy this $280,000 house and we didn't have to contribute anything to their seller concessions, their payment would be $1,912 a month. What's that? Principal and interest. All right, but check this out. So if they came to me, or if I started reducing the price, so I want $280 for the house. You get it? I want $280 for the house. But I say, no one's giving me $280, so I drop to $279. I go to $289, or $278, and I drop and drop and drop and drop, and I get all the way down to $271.6, and finally I get a buyer. That will save them, instead of $1,912, their monthly payment will be $1,855. It'll save them $57. If I come down $8,400 on the price, it only saves them $57 a month. You see that? Now watch this. I can do a permanent buy down. Like if I sell the house to them for $280,000, but I give them $8,400 in seller concessions. Like I'm just willing to give them $8,400 in seller concessions. Check this out. Look how much it saves them. It's $182 a month. So if I come down on the price, they're only saving $57. If I buy the interest rate down for them and sell them at the higher price, but see, it's a different way to add value to this transaction. Okay, that's what I'm trying to talk to you about. Is you coming down on your price, you're hurting the buyer. It would be better to keep your price where it is and give them a seller credit. It will help them in their monthly payment. Does that make sense? So, okay, here's where it's come into play for me a couple times. Okay, I want to reduce my price. I'll go to Kyle. Let's drop this thing $5,000. He said, Wayne, instead of dropping $5,000, why don't we just put that we're willing to give a $5,000 seller credit instead? That's where this comes into play. So instead of dropping your price, offer them, because I think we can offer them what they need. There's sometimes what they need, and what's better for them is not for you to lower the price, but for you to give them a pile of seller concessions to buy the interest rate down. So yeah, this is a really cool strategy. Now, to me, I don't make any more money. I mean, but I net the same as coming down $8,400 on my price, right? If I come down $8,400, I net $271,600. If I sell it for $280 and give them 84 concessions, it's still the same to me, but it helps them immensely. You see this? It helps them immensely. Yeah, you're right, spot on. It may help them to qualify. That's what I'm talking about. They may, from a debt to income ratio, they may be off just a little bit. Yeah, there's a mortgage guy, he knows. They may just be off a little bit. Where this can help them, it gets the payment down to where now they can afford the house where they couldn't before. Honestly, it could be that they cannot afford to buy your house here, but if you do it this way, you net the exact same, and now they can afford to buy your house. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Who's sharing this information with your buyers? Is this something that you tell them, or your?
Is that right?
Okay.
Yeah. Kyle, I don't know, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, in the marketing remarks in MLS, you can clearly state seller offering $10,000 credit towards buyer's rate buy down, prepaids, closing costs. And of course, that's distributed in the syndication through MLS to realtors, Zillow, so everybody sees it. Or if an offer comes in, and maybe they're asking for a discount, and we say, well, instead of a discount, how about you give us the $280 that we want, so the $270 you're asking for, we'll use that $10,000 towards giving you that rate buy down or concession.
Okay. Powerful tool, right? Very powerful tool. That's where those owner financing signs come in too, because there's a possibility I can send them to Jerry. Jerry knows that I'm willing to give a $8,400 concession on this house. He knows they don't qualify for the house normally, but they will because I'm willing to give $8,400 in concessions. Okay. Another thing to do, selling technique, is just to raise the buyer agent's commission to 2.5, or even offer some kind of a bonus if they can bring you a buyer by a certain date. See, I just want you to know there's ways to do stuff without compromising your price. But there are some times you got to cut your price, okay? But not until I've done. I want to do everything I can first before I do that. Okay, so if I'm still, what do I do if I'm still unable to sell? Then I'm going to start cutting my profit, and right, and if I tried everything else, then I'm going to reduce price. Okay, or I'm going to lease option my houses to an ownership-minded person, or I'm going to consider short-term rentals or short-term arbitrage. You know what short-term arbitrage is? Short-term arbitrage. Okay, is Vanessa here by chance? I don't think she made it. I met a.
Vanessa?
Different.
Oh, okay.
Different.
Oh no, I'm sorry. It's a different
I'll talk to you
Vanessa.
soon. I'll talk to you soon.
Huh? All right, so Les and I talked with a lady recently who came to our group here, and she worked in the home health care field. And she had several houses that she was renting out to traveling nurses on a corporate rate. And she was making very, very good money on her rentals, like 2-3 times what normal rent would be. And she says, the problem is I have this big waiting list and I don't have any houses for them. And I said, Vanessa, your problem is solved. I can help you with houses. Anybody else here think like they could help Vanessa with houses? That are nice and fixed up and not selling, and you could rent them at a premium rent, and she can, and she doesn't have to go buy a whole bunch of houses. She can just rent them from you, and you'll give her or me, and give her the right to sublease them to the other people, and she manages the whole thing and maintains the property, and she makes the spread between $2,400 a month that you charge her in rent and the 5,000 or 6,000 that she makes from renting out the rooms. All right. All right, so what about new deals going forward? Everybody all the people a lot smarter than me are saying you need to shorten your cycle time. Shorten your cycle time. So what does that mean? That means from the time you buy it to the time you sell it, shorter. So what can we do? Well, number one, you can list all houses for a few weeks as is before you start on the rehab. I've been doing that, and I think we sold 3 or 4 of them like that. Just got lucky, and they sold as is. I made the exact same profit if I would have gone through that whole headache of fixing them up and selling them. Walk through with an agent. Oh, this is a good one. Walk through with an agent before finalizing your exit strategy. There's sometimes where, I'll walk through with Tom or Kyle, and they're like, man, don't do a full-blown rehab on this. All you gotta do is fix this and this and this, and I think we can sell it, and we can get it to the market a whole lot cheaper if you do all that work to it, right? So I like to walk through with the agents and decide what we're gonna do to the house before finalizing our exit strategy. Sometimes we're gonna do a splash and dash on a house, and then price it accordingly. We're just gonna get in there, get it. There's some houses, there's no way you can do this. The houses are just in too bad a shape, but there's some houses that are in decent condition, but they're just outdated. They're well-maintained, outdated houses. So you just gotta fix what's broken. The paint tub, it can stay. It just has to work, right? So, and there's sometimes you can do a scaled-back rehab under $10,000 and get it to the market, and the market has an appetite for that stuff because people can't afford what they used to be able to afford. Who was I talking to earlier? I think it was Anthony from Direct Mortgage. He's telling me that he's got someone that's got trying to buy a house for, they're only qualified for 120 to 140,000. I'm like, I ain't got nothing. Except, well, hold on a minute. And I started thinking, well, maybe if I don't do all this work to this house and I just kind of get it, to where it passed an FHA inspection, maybe I could sell it for that. Okay. Sell to casual buyers. The coming soon signs, we already talked about that. Keep buying, but build in an extra 5,000 to 10,000. Okay, so I'm still buying. So everyone's like, oh, let's not buy right now. The market's scary. You're gonna get burned on the back end. No, I'm still buying, but I am building an extra 5,000 to 10,000 in for value add things. It might be a seller concession, or it might be a new door, or just different buttoning up loose things. It might be staging. For all that 7-step process or seller concessions, I'm gonna need a little extra value add stuff that I didn't used to have before. Okay, so I'm still buying, but I gotta be a little careful and add a little bit extra in for value add items. And then start building up my pathway to ownership program, my portfolio, and I'm looking to get to about 400 houses, all lease options with ownership-minded tenant buyers.